topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Are you ready to take a journey? Let's connect with the healers of the world. It's that time. It's time for the Language of Healing on W4WN Radio and Talk 4 TV. Now here's your host, Dr. Nicole Fortin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Language of Healing. And today we're on part 2, talking about the legacy of a madman and the life of Ozzy Osbourne. Today we're talking a bit more about his supporters and collaborators and the people that help us get through life, help us succeed. And, I don't think there's many of us that could just count our success based on there's individual will and belief and actions, but there's always like this greater connection network that helps us along the way, especially when it's something that's divine or that we strongly desire. Everything kind of falls into place and gets the ball rolling. But we have our special guest, Heath McCoy, back with us today. So let's just welcome him in here and get the conversation going. Hey Heath.
Thank you for having me back.
Yes, of course. Oh my gosh, you're a legend. You're like, look at you go. Actually, you know what? I was speaking about you to somebody recently that, you're just this wealth of knowledge and experience in the journalist and the music and rock, like music industry, just based out of interest, but also professionally. And he said he went to his first Nine Inch Nails show in Calgary. Yeah. And that his mother had cut out the newspaper clipping article from the Herald and had framed it for him. And he was like, oh, maybe he wrote that. It was around 2005.
That would have been me, probably. Yeah.
So he has like a laminated newspaper article about one of your columns that you wrote about Nine Inch Nails.
Nice. And it is my name. There's one other guy it could be.
I don't know. He doesn't know. I think it's still at his parents' place, but I'm
pretty sure it would have been me. I remember that show. Amazing.
Yeah. I know. He says they've been in Calgary 3 times. He's never missed a show.
Yeah.
So
I remember that one. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's fun. Yeah. So you've had lots of experiences with music over your time and career. And
sure. We're talking about Ozzy Osbourne and we're talking about concerts and everything. I was trying to think the other day of how many times I've seen Ozzy Osbourne live.
Oh yeah, okay. Mm-hmm, yes.
I saw him with Black Sabbath on what was supposed to be, that last tour. I'm pretty sure I saw him because I reviewed him like 3 times, and I saw him once just as a fan. And it was when I was living in London in the 90s, and I saw him in Brixton Academy, which is like this classic, you probably heard of it, this awesome venue, but it's small. It's like it was the mid 90s. And I don't think he was that big. Like he was sort of, I think his career was maybe on a bit of a downswing at the time in London, at least. So I saw him there. It was like, I went by myself. None of my roommates, my flatmates wanted to go with me or anything like that. So I went by myself. It was Christmas time in Brixton, which is a really rough neighborhood. I remember there was this choir. There was like, it was near Christmas, and there was this choir of like singing Christmas songs near me, and they sounded like the Supremes. I remember that. They were amazing. They should have had a recording contract. But I remember going to Brixton Academy.
Shoot.
Me and Ozzy.
It wasn't like Boney M on the street.
Yeah, really. It was. They were amazing. I thought, oh my God, this is beautiful. And then I remember going there and seeing Ozzy in that amazing small venue. I was like, there was not a bad seat in the place. I'm pretty sure probably like maybe 5,000, 4,000 people. It was like seeing him in the Jubilee Auditorium or something here, can you imagine? And it was that close. Geezer Butler was on stage with him because he had, he filtered bases through all the time. So he was with Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. That was the first time I saw him, and it was just it's such a classic memory for me seeing him. And then it was weird because when I came back to Canada later that year, he played in Calgary, and he was like Saddle Dome all the way. Like, it showed how different level he was at in his career in Europe and in Canada and North America. So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was in the UK a little bit. It's like you're talking to people you meet, it's like just kind of pubby tourist culture for me anyway. I'll talk to it. But like, it was amazing how many people didn't know who Black Sabbath were. And I was like
when you were where?
Yeah,
like
in the UK.
How
like
weird,
they just
hey?
I know. I was kind of shocked about it. Like, obviously it's a big household name. I mean, they're pretty popular around the world, but I think that the local vibe, maybe it's like the Nickelback of Canada.
Who knows?
It's like, oh, they come from here. We don't know, but no, I don't think it's equivalent to that. But like I was a little bit surprised that like, oh, you don't know who Black Sabbath is? Like, how is that even possible?
When I was living in London, it was in the 90s, but there was this, it was even when Britpop was happening and Oasis was the hugest thing in the world at that time, especially in Britain. But there was one group of people, it was almost considered like kid stuff, rock music there, I found. And then everybody that was like over 20, 25, they didn't care. They liked dance music. They liked the pop. They liked like EDM and stuff like that. And
exactly. Like they're much more into that, and even like the rap, hip hop stuff, and recently country music, because weirdly, I guess Beyonce came on tour with her album.
That's right.
Apparently they're like really into the country music now. But I was, just it was surprising to me that it's like, oh, we're going to Black Sabbath. Who?
Yeah, that's so
Excuse
strange.
Me?
Especially since it would have been all over, just because who Ozzy is. It would have been all over the media there. It would have been all over the tabloids. I think, and not just in Birmingham either. It would have been like in London. I think it would have been, I just have to tell my son that he has to be quiet here while I'm.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Finn.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. We're just doing a podcast with him.
Does he want to come hang out a little bit or what? He's welcome to join.
All right.
Not to put him on the spot or anything, but I saw some of his drama production acting activities, and that's super rad and exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's like fits your personality so well. So I'm really happy to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a good job of it. He nailed it.
Yeah. Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, Heath, you're just going to take it away for us. Because we had so many things to talk about last time, and of course the time just flies by. But I think that a big part of, and so Ozzy's Cause of Death came out. We all know a little bit more now.
What did they say about it?
It was cardiac arrest. Myocardial infarction. Yeah. A heart attack with like many complications.
Sure.
Anyways, so we're still kind of on the subject of a passing of a legend. Go on.
Well, I was gonna say, I think doing that last concert probably shortened his life a little bit, getting ready for it. Like maybe he would have had a couple months more or whatever if he had just rested or whatever. But I think he went out the right way. Like he would have preferred to do that show and then gone out kind of like a warrior, like instead of just withering away.
Yeah, I heard he had kind of tapered off his medications too at the end, just so his voice would be better, and because, although like it kind of complicates things. I mean, you know what I think about with, okay, Ozzy's a special case. He has Parkinson's, but Parkinson's is like a disease of, like, it affects your dopamine, or dopamine is affected, right? Which is like heavy drug use also affects that. Yeah. So there's kind of the where, so he's got, I think, more complex things happening, but
I mean, he's the key. He did live the Keith Richards life, right, for so long. And I think, you know, as far back as the 80s, you'd hear about how, you know, Ozzy, he'd say, you know, I'm sober now. I've been to Betty Ford Clinic. And like 19, before he did the Ultimate Sin album, I remember it was a big deal he made that he was sober, but he would keep going back to it again and again and again, you know, and
yeah.
I can't remember, like, well into the 2000s, you'd hear stories about how he was doing all right. Then all of a sudden he'd go back into his old habits. Right. So I think that he definitely beat himself up, and it contributed to things, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, that, and where I was going before, what my thought was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. But the other guy with Parkinson's, like the Back to the Future dude.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. Yeah, he just goes without any, you know, he's kind of like drug free, and you can see how, like, yeah, the body's, you know,
he struggles. Yeah, you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think for just medically speaking, that's like a struggle for the body, you know, it's like,
yeah,
kind of coming off. But yeah, then he pushes himself so hard. But why not go out like that? Go out with a bang. Go out.
I think that's the way he wanted to go out, really, you know.
Yeah.
You could see he kept trying to get up. He kept trying to stand up, and he was valiant, you know. And I think that's why he has so much goodwill right now towards him. I mean, he would have anyway, but you were talking about because part of the reason we wanted to keep going on this is because there's this whole thing that we didn't get to talk about last week, and you mentioned how it's about, you know, it's about the people who help us succeed in life and help us get ahead and everything, you know, and get us to where we are. And with Ozzy Osbourne, there was a whole lot of people that he, you know, he just found the right people to collaborate with throughout his life. And I know we're celebrating Ozzy Osbourne here, but at the same time, he didn't always treat the people who helped him get where he is. He didn't always, you know, treat them as respectfully as he maybe could. He didn't know there was some dirty dealings there. And I think some of it had to do with Sharon being the manager. She's known as pretty ruthless.
Yeah.
I mean, her father was a music mogul, but he was also like a gangster, basically. And I think Sharon takes a lot of the same traits as him. She's very tough, very ruthless. But I mean, you got to go along. I think Ozzy went along with it. You know, I don't think she twisted his arm in a lot of these things, right? And so, first off, like in his career, he found Black Sabbath. You couldn't find, like, you know, Ozzy did the harmonies and stuff, but the majority of the lyrics were done by Geezer Butler. Tony Iommi was like the genius that came up with, was the architect of the whole sound, sort of like the Jimmy Page of Black Sabbath or whatever.
Yeah, his story's kind of crazy too, right?
Oh yeah, and this is what invented heavy metal, basically. And you can't take away, it's not like Ozzy. Some people try to make it out like the other three guys were geniuses and the visionaries, and Ozzy was just the dummy that in the background sort of thing. And I don't think that's true at all. I think he came up with a lot of the harmonies. Like he talked about how when they were the way they wrote Paranoid, they needed one more song in the studio, and the guy was pressuring them to write another song, the producer. So, you know, Tony Iommi came up with the riff. Bill Ward started playing through it and helping shape it that way. Then Ozzy started humming the melody he was hearing, you know, the lyrical melody. And then based on that lyrical melody, Geezer Butler started writing the lyrics to it. Right. So, I mean, he's an integral part of it. And then he had this amazing voice. Like, I don't think Black Sabbath would have been as incredible as they were if he had this, like he brought to life the riffs that Tony Iommi was coming up with, these dark things. He was like a man, like in Black Sabbath, he's like facing the hellfire, right? He's pleading with God and everything, and he's right there. He had this sort of like almost tragic sort of voice, you know, like he was like it's like he was struggling. Like there was such vulnerability. It has such power in his voice, but such vulnerability too, you know? And because I think he brought himself to it. He always had mental health issues. He really struggled with a lot of things in his life, a lot of insecurity. And he had that pure, strong voice, but I think he brought his personality into it, and it brought it to life in a way that really sold what they were coming across, what they were singing. Like that, Black Sabbath wrote these sort of horror songs, and Ozzy brought the horror to life in a lot of ways. It was like a wraith in some songs,
I mean, it's like that's what connects with people. I think that's like a very human element.
Yeah.
That, traveling through the dark and the light of life, I think is like, and music strikes a chord, literally. It's like, it vibrates in you. There's something that like, you can resonate with in there. And so I think I'm very like emotional, and like music that comes from somewhere, some kind of struggle really connects with people. And that's probably, I mean, like being in a working class, like being in the real world isn't always like, whatever plum drops, sugar coated things.
There's a sincerity you hear from him, like
right.
He wasn't just trying to be this powerful rock vocalist. I mean, he was bringing it to life. Even the songs that are like Fairies Wear Boots and Snowblind, and it's all about kind of the fast lifestyle they had and the partying, and about cocaine and about drugs and stuff. It was, even then, he sounds like a man on the edge, He sounds like the wild man that he was, that he could be spiraling out of control with this stuff at any time. There's always this sort of almost fear or craziness in him, and it just came across so amazingly. And then the next collaborator that came around in his life, I think it would be natural to say, well, it was Randy Rhoads, and it was the guys he played with next. But no, really, it was Sharon, because when they came out of Black Sabbath, and it's crazy, they were all drug addicts and they were all alcoholics or whatever, but he was the craziest.
I know how bad do you have to be?
I know, to get kicked out. And he's so hypocritical. He said, like, I'm getting kicked out by you guys, But I think he was losing interest a lot of the time. There's some funny stories, like and that last tour, Van Halen opened up. Young Hungry Van Halen opened up for Black Sabbath, and Ozzy talked about how they kicked our ass every night. They blew us off stage because Ozzy was half interested, and the band was all drugged out and everything. And but this stuff like this would happen all the time. One night, like they talk about how Ozzy and David Lee Roth have talked about this. They called it Krell, which is named after something in Star Trek, I think. But that was their name for cocaine. So they stayed up all night doing Krell, and then David Lee Roth was like, I got to go to bed, Ozzy. I can't do anymore. And so Ozzy said, yeah, I'm going to go to bed too. And he went to his hotel room, shut his hotel room, and that was it. And then the next morning, nobody could find Ozzy, and they had to get on the bus, and all day long it was just scramble to find Ozzy. He'd gone into the wrong hotel room, and he slept for like 48 hours or something like that. But it was, that was typical stuff for Ozzy to be doing that. And so, more and more, I think he became unreliable or whatever, and they fired him from Black Sabbath, and he was devastated. And he went into, I don't know if it was the Hotel Marquee or someplace like that in the Sunset Strip. And he just he was there for 3 months, and he locked himself in the room, and he was just, his drug dealer was coming over all the time, and he was drinking his life. Like he was out, he would have killed himself probably.
Yeah.
And
Sharon, just a bunch of pizza, beer, and drugs. And
and Sharon's dad, Don Arden, the gangster, he was managing Black Sabbath at the time, and he kind of thought, well, they're going to go off and do their thing, and Ozzy's the screw up, and we'll try to set something up for him, but, and he kind of gave Sharon to him just as a, try to do something with this guy, and she actually, fell in love with him and took over his career and believed in him, and she sort of picked him up again and guided him, helped him with so many things, and she helped him, put him on his feet again and helped him form a band. And this band was absolutely incredible. Randy Rhoads is like up there with Eddie Van Halen as one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time. Like, I mean, the solo for Mr. Crowley I talked about last week is just so phenomenal. And it wasn't just him either. Bob Daisley came along. He was the bass player, and he was like the new Geezer Butler. Like, he started writing all the lyrics, right? Because Ozzy's can, but he's not typically an amazing lyricist, right? So Bob Daisley and Randy Rhoads were writing a lot of the music. And those first two Ozzy records, like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, they're like untouchable. Like they're up there with the best Black Sabbath stuff, I think. They're just incredible. Lee Kerslake was an amazing drummer. But yeah, Sharon, especially to Bob Daisley, she just sort of, they just took advantage of him, really. Like they never gave him credit. They took away his credits. He was like the key songwriter, like even right up until No More Tears, he was still on it. And then I think there's a noticeable drop in quality of Ozzy's stuff when he's no longer working with Bob Daisley, actually. But Bob Daisley was such a crucial collaborator. Randy Rhoads was a genius, and who knows if they would have fallen out with him eventually as well. He died tragically in that plane accident. And they revere Randy Rhoads, the tribute album. They put the live tribute album they put out about him and everything. But Bob Daisley, they did terrible things to him. Like at one point there, in the 2000s, they reissued Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. But Sharon, we didn't want to pay those guys. He didn't want Bob Daisley to get any of the money he would be getting from it. So she had other musicians come in and like duplicate the parts of Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake just so she didn't have to pay them. Like,
yeah,
really
that's
shitty.
pretty ruthless.
Pretty ruthless. And the family, the fans turned against her on that one. And but Ozzy went along with that. I hope I'm not going on and on too much here.
No, go on. Yeah, go on.
But yeah, so Bob, but I don't know, Bob Daisley was a sucker for punishment, or he needed the money because Ozzy would treat him terribly, fire him from the band. Then the next album would come up and he'd go, "Hey, we need you to come and help us write some songs." And then the same cycle would happen again and again. He just got treated so horribly by the Osbournes. But then after Randy dies, there's this scramble to find a new guitarist that can be anywhere near as great as Randy was. And eventually they settle on this hot shot from the LA scene, who'd been a rat and stuff like that. This guy, Jakey Lee. He's a great guitarist, not Randy Rhoads great, but an amazing guitarist. This guy, with Bob Daisley, writes the entire Bark at the Moon record, and Sharon strong arms these guys like, Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy gets the song credit, the only songwriting credit, I believe. Nobody else, they make Jakey Lee sign over his rights to this album that he wrote, terrible stuff. And then he had a little more clout. The fans liked him. So on the next album for Ultimate Sin, he said, "I'm not doing this unless you give me my songwriting credit."
Yeah.
So, he did Ultimate Sin with him. He gets his credits on Ultimate Sin. For whatever reason, they didn't like him. They fired him. Then Zakk Wylde comes along. And Zakk Wylde he's been like the mainstay Aussie guitarist for like years. He'll come and go a little bit, and he'll do Black Label Society on the side and stuff, but he's been Ozzy's like right hand for the majority of his career after he came along in the No Rest for the Wicked album. And he's just an amazing guitarist himself with his distinctive style. And somehow he just never fell out with them. I think he just sort of was grateful that he was there with them. And he, they cut him in the No More Tears record. They said, "Well, we're not going to use you too much as a writer. We're going to get other people." And, it hurt his feelings or whatever, but he was just like, "I'm just glad to be here with Ozzy," And so he stuck with them all these years. So there's no hard feelings there, but just there's just so many people that they walked over to get, kind of where they are. And I think especially Sharon, but Sharon just had this knack for keeping him relevant too, when the Ozfest happened, it's because they tried to get Ozzy on the Lollapalooza tour, which was all the hip, awesome rock artists at the time. All the grunge people and everything were on doing Lollapalooza. And they tried to get Ozzy on Lollapalooza. And I don't know if it was Perry Farrell or whoever it was, but somebody said, "Yeah, we don't want Ozzy on Lollapalooza. He's old. He's a metal artist. Metal's like soup. We don't care about metal anymore. Metal's a joke. We don't want him." And so she was like, "Well, fuck you. Screw. I hope I can swear." She said, "Screw you." He went and she went and created Ozfest, and it became this, and all the kind of the cutting edge heavy metal bands at the time, like I think Marilyn Manson came on it and Slipknot in the early years. And she created this, really relevant. She wasn't just doing like recycling old hair metal bands or anything. She was bringing in the kind of the latest and the greatest in metal. And it became this huge thing that took off. It was like one of the hugest festivals. I think it eclipsed Lollapalooza at some point. So there was that. I have mixed feelings about, getting on the reality TV train with the Osbournes.
Yeah,
but again, I don't love, that's not my Ozzy.
You're not like a trash TV watcher while you're cooking dinner or something.
Yeah. And I didn't love.
That's a guilty pleasure of mine for sure.
Some of it's fun, but some of it, and I think Ozzy's being pretty honest, because reality TV is not so reality. Like it's still scripted and it's still, but Ozzy still comes across like Ozzy, like fumbling with the TV channel changer and like swearing all the time and stuff. Like kind of befuddled a lot of the time. Like I think he came across pretty sincere again. I don't need to see Kelly Osbourne and Jack Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne like in the same light with him. I don't need to see them. I'd like to see them behind the scenes, not sharing the spotlight with him. And he kind of became this goofy TV dad at the time and stuff. And, but again, it was just the right thing. Like it kept him relevant, whereas his peers were not as relevant, and it brought his celebrity status up even higher. There's so many people that were celebrating his funeral that are probably fans of the show rather than fans of his music, right? So I mean, I know maybe it's like the generational thing too, like when that came out, or well, I don't know if people are still watching that, but I mean, like, but even if you were watching, you do. I know a lot of people that would never listen to his music, and they would like, really? They say they like him, but they're like, if you actually tried to play it around them, they would not listen very long.
Oh my gosh. Well, but they're really missing out.
Yeah, they are missing out. It's brilliant stuff. But yeah.
And like that's what's kind of like, well, I mean, some of them are still around, some not, like, but I mean, to have that kind of recognition, it's a little bit of a sore spot, I think, maybe, to not like pay as much respect. So I like that we're talking about some of these genius collaborators behind the scenes. It reminds me, maybe it's a little different, but I was obviously recently in London and I went on a Jack the Ripper tour.
Yeah.
And the guy, I think
Ozzy would like, if you're making a comparison, I think Ozzy would be in favor. Ozzy would have wanted it this way.
He would have wanted it this way for sure. I was hanging out in like the old seedy part of London, like Whitechapel, Aldgate. Cool. I mean, it's kind of like gentrified now. It's actually pretty cool. And I think there's a lot of like uni students and stuff staying there. But there's a really dark, weird history in those areas. Beginning, maybe even before, but like around the Jack the Ripper times, like that's the East End of London that gets the waft of, the suit. It's like, nice area west, and then the wind just blows, and it's like, so the East is kind of like, saturated and smells and, but anyway. But I took this Jack the Ripper tour, and the tour guide was a really lovely man, and he made it more about the women that were affected than Jack the Ripper. He was like, why? Well, I mean, it's not equivalent, but it's kind of like, why put so much attention on this guy when there's like so many other people that were involved, and they have stories too, so that was kind of a unique twist on the Ripper tour. I mean, we had to go to the special pubs on our own, kind of thing, like
celebrate the victim, or not celebrate, but I mean, like, acknowledge the victim instead of
just remember, like,
school,
like that story wouldn't exist without these, these women or these people.
And they had interesting stories on their own. I know that.
Oh yeah, definitely. We heard all about it. If you go to London, I'll hook you up with this tour guide.
I would love to. When I was in London, I was too poor to do all that stuff. I was like a broke bum backpacker. I couldn't afford it. So I wanted to go on that tour and I could not.
Yeah.
So I would love to go back and do that.
Yeah, I think you got to go back with like a little like extra cash to spend because there's, you know, a lot of nice things to enjoy.
You know what I wonder? And I think that the answer is probably no. But I went in like all the Aleister Crowley stuff. Like he's such a fascinating figure.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if you can people go see his old castle and all that kind of stuff. Because Jimmy Page, I think, lived in his old house, Boleskine or something like that. But it's not. I think it's outside of London, not in London. But I wonder if that would be cool. If there's some kind of like black magic Aleister Crowley tour you could do. But I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it probably isn't. But yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And I think that you can find whatever you want there.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, it is quite cool.
Cool. You're not the Abbey, you're not the Beatles. Well, yeah, no, I think you like the Beatles. I don't know if you're
of course.
as much, did you do, because it's in London. Did you do Abbey Road?
We didn't do Abbey Road. I did not do Abbey Road.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like I saw that, like, I mean, it was obviously on the radar, but I think there was, you know, so much else going on. London is a massive place. You can't really see it. And plus, in the seedy east side, no, I'm just joking. It's not seedy anymore. But like, you know, while I'm exploring that, Abbey Road is like way on the other side. You know, like I obviously could have done it, but it's almost like, oh,
you need more time there. Like,
yeah, you just need more time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's so many things to explore, but I think that there's a lot of like different tour, even just, you know, a little tangent-y, but it's like, you know, Christopher Columbus and all the explorers and like the, you know, the Shackletons, the people that explored the world and gathered things, various spices and people and whatever. That came whether good or bad, I don't know, but it's like it is part of history, and like you can see that kind of thing now. And like for me, one thing I didn't also see huge interest for me are the Kew Gardens, KEW, and that's where the like roster of all the different plant life, spices and things came from outside into London, and that's like the house of pharmacy. Like that is botany. The origins of like Western medicine now comes from this area. If you were studying pharmacy, you had to know the plants. So it's like you had to know what it actually looked like in real life, and you know that it's like compounds and compositions. And I think nowadays that's kind of that's taken out of that system. I don't know if modern day pharmacists are hanging out in botanical gardens anymore, but that is the origin of that kind of thing. So that's of like mega interest to me, but that's also a little bit outside of the city. And you know, there's like many day trips and stuff.
It's hard to get on top of everything there, but I would love to go back to London with money. I will do it. I want to go back.
I know.
Tour. I wanted to do that especially.
That won't cost you much, honestly, dude.
No, I know. And even Abbey, like, I didn't even go see Abbey Road when I was there either, and it was just because life. I was working.
I mean, plus you just think about the crowd. You're like, oh, how bad do I want to see it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna get the Beatles shot. You know, you're just going to see like, oh, you know what I did do though? I saw, there's this one famous picture of Morrissey, and on this like kind of, it's like a old cannon street post kind of thing. They turned old cannons into like, I don't even know what the purpose is of it. It's almost like a water, like a hydrant, but just an old post. And so I was like leaning, I did like the Morrissey kind of, I hate life stance. Yeah.
You
so that was
and you leave on your own. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
exactly.
You want to die.
I was there on that corner, you know, so
that's awesome.
That's kind of fun. I mean, but there's lots of legendary moments that you can have yeah, all the pubs I explored, I'll have to tell you later, all the
Sure.
adventures. But
Just being there and just hanging out though, you come across stuff that you that have such history, and you don't like. I remember I came across. I didn't even know. I was just kind of going down the street, and then I found out that this is where Charles Dickens was born, or something. You know?
oh
And
yeah, you went to the
yeah,
Dickens Inn or what?
so something like that. And then I remember it's been so long. And I remember just everywhere you go. I remember I was reading all these like kind of London-based books. I was reading like Jekyll and Hyde and Orwell's 1984 and stuff. And you're reading this stuff. And they're mentioning streets and everything, and suddenly I'm on that street, or my bus is going right by that street, you know, or like when I went to see Ozzy and Brixton Academy, there's so much history there, like riots and the Clash playing there and all this stuff, you know.
I know, it was like even when I was there listening to the Who, and you hear this like from Brighton down to Soho or whatever, Soho down to Brighton, whatever the lyric that is. Sure. And I was like, oh, I know those places now.
Exciting, hey, to have been there. Even you're walking down Carnaby Street. I don't know if you went down. You must have probably went down Carnaby Street, and it's like there's so much history.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, like that was like such a hub of, you know, that swinging 60s time when, like, you know.
Okay, I'll have to add that to the list.
Yeah.
Dang it. Okay. Oh, but I did go to Denmark Street, which is like famous for like the guitars and, you know, like music instruments. And I just saw that Youngblood opened a store on Denmark Street. And I'm like, dang, that was like obviously in the works while I was there, and I totally missed it. I mean, it only opened now, so I missed it. But anyway, that's also a famous one.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, I know that Black Sabbath recorded some of their albums there. It would be nice. Like, it would have been cool to track down the studios, or there's a certain neighborhood where Led Zeppelin first jammed. It was this, and it's the middle of some. I can't remember what neighborhood it is, but yeah, it'd be cool just to go on a tour. You'd have to like figure out where you want to go and set up a map and set up a few days and just go to all these places. But yeah,
and to just like step back into that time, because I think London uniquely is very old school in the sense that like a lot of things don't change. You know, they have a lot of like old traditional rules that stay, but things change fast. You know, like the vibe of that area is just a lot different than that. So it would be cool. I think tangent, this is where like virtual reality could be handy in future, if you could just put the glasses on and like almost walk back into a time that had that atmosphere. Is like, this is what it was like then, you know, but now it's like, you know, it's just a lot different. But
yeah,
anyways, there's so many things to explore. What else do you want to discuss on our topic?
In terms of the Aussie stuff, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I mean,
Birmingham, I noticed, was like, you know, very industrial city. Like we stayed in the jewelry quarter or something. So there's like, you know, it's like gorgeous brick buildings, like massive, but it looks very, you know, kind of stale in the sense that like everything looks like that.
Yeah.
You know, if that makes sense. And like, you know, you walk in, but they're almost like fortresses. Like you walk through this first, you know, you have the street and all the buildings are just big brick walls. And then you walk through these massive doors, and then you get through these tiny passageways behind the doors.
I know exactly the kind of passageways you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's like, this is so wild, you know? It's like a factory inside, like disguised as just a street.
Yeah. I find it really interesting. Like, you know, you see all the old photos about, because I think Birmingham got bombed to hell too and everything, like during World War II. Yeah. And London did so bad. I remember.
Oh yeah, East Side especially.
Yeah, really. Yeah. At one point, I was living in upper this area called Upper Norwood, and then to get into downtown every day, because I worked on Carnaby Street at one point there, I had to, you know, half an hour walk to the train station, which was in like Lower Norwood, and that's like the rough neighborhood. Like Upper Norwood was quite gentrified and quite nice and everything, but then Lower was quite dismal and a little bit, you know. And I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody told me it's because Lower Norwood really got devastated by, or no, Upper Norwood got blown apart by the bombing, and so it's all new. It got built new and kind of beautiful, whereas Lower Norwood is like the old, for built in the 19th century houses and stuff, I guess, so that's why it's so old and kind of crappy. And yeah, you just walk through that area and it's like it automatically changes,
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe it's all gentrified now. Who knows? Like I find the history of cities amazing, actually.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. They're like their own life of its own. You know what's interesting is like unless it's like completely blown out, they'll never die.
Yeah. Cities, yeah, like the way cities, even Calgary, the way it morphs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, Calgary's been changing recently. I noticed. This is a bit of a beef. Can I share it?
Yeah. You can.
If you don't know Calgary, you won't really know. But okay, so Calgary's like known to be a very sunny city, right? Like we get like I think the most sun out of Canada.
It's blinding. If you try to drive at times when the sun is at its height or whatever, it's that you can't. Yeah. You need glasses or you're gonna crash. It's like
Yeah. And I don't know. This year I've just noticed like a lot of less sunlight, like more clouds, more rain.
Unfortunately, really,
yes. Like the seasonal affective disorder, I can feel that. Like it's like if I wanted to live in Vancouver, I would.
Yeah.
But
yeah, really.
no. Anyways, we're here. And so Calgary's also like we used to have that city slogan, Heart of the New West. And it was, very like old, westerny, small town, bigger city with small town mentality.
Yeah.
Everyone's pretty like friendly and stuff. And the Saddle Dome is like the venue that is a classic Calgarian structure. And the Saddle Dome is a arena that's shaped like a saddle.
Yeah.
And our color is always red and white, right?
That's right.
And they recently changed the city slogan to Blue Sky City, which is fine.
Yeah.
But they changed the sign. Now our colors are blue and white. And I'm like,
blue and white?
No.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
I don't know why they did that. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. But have you noticed
the Red Mile, the flames? Like we are so associated with
red. They took the
so
color red.
Weird.
Every time I drive by that that cost $6 million to change that.
Isn't that ridiculous? Calgary is one place. One thing. Calgary's a bad city when it comes to not honoring their classic buildings. Like they'll in Calgary.
Yeah. Same with Alberta too.
Yeah, like classic buildings. I realize they get raw, like the old King Eddie, the original King Eddie. Like a guy took me on a tour through there, and it was so cool. He took me into the basement and everything, but it was dilapidated, and they had, it was rotting. They had to fix it, but I wish they would have. And they supposedly kept the facade and whatever, but they didn't really. I mean, you go in there now, it's not like the old King Eddie at all. Like I wish they would. In Calgary, they're more likely to tear it down and build fresh than they are to like kind of keep the building and keep it alive somehow. And I wish they wouldn't do that so much. Like there's a lot of history here. We're a very young city, but there's still a lot of history here, and it'd be cool if they hung on to it. The Hard House,
like why not just
they kept the Hard House so far. Yeah,
the Hard House.
The wrestler Bret Hart and the Hart.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Hart.
Yeah,
I heard hard.
No.
Yeah.
It is hard. It's a brick.
It's a brick house. I mean, that was probably a very hard house to live in. But
it was like the Addams Family house. It was it was a very crazy house to live in.
Yeah, that sounds like you
read my book.
Spooky adventure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, your book, Pain and Passion: A History of Stampede Wrestling.
That's right. Yeah.
Epic, amazing. Yeah, I saw some little Netflix documentary about some WWE wrestling, and I always think about you. I mean, it wasn't very exciting, to be honest. I was kind of like bored about that one.
Yeah. Well, some of it is, yeah. But so many of those guys passed through Calgary and trained here and stuff. We're probably going off way too much of a tangent for your fans who tuned in to see Ozzy, but yeah.
No, I think that would be interesting. I mean, I don't know, like you're obviously the expert, and I just live vicariously through your experience, because I think it's such a stable, like, it's like, even all the like festivals I'll go to, or you go somewhere in the US, or even like Japan, they love their wrestling. They love,
Well, I know they do.
you mentioned like Bret the Hitman Hart, and they're like, wow, amazing. People
Yeah.
will wear like Bret in London at Download Festival. I saw a guy wearing a Bret the Hitman Hart
Did ya?
jersey. Yeah, like
I'm not
pure English
surprised.
dude. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is awesome. I was like, I'm from Calgary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was huge.
Um,
He was huge in Europe,
yeah.
They are. And yeah, Japan, there's certain cultures that have it. It's like ingrained in their culture in a way that we can't even, like in North America, it's ingrained in our culture in a lot of ways too. But there's something really sacred about it in Japan and also in Mexico, like with the
Oh,
lucha
yes.
libre and all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's like,
yeah.
it's really like a special thing for them and
Yeah.
really revered. And it's a lot, apparently in Japan too, it's a lot more, I mean, there's still a storyline and stuff like that, but I mean, they'll really beat you up in the Japanese rings, I guess. They're like, if you wanted to toughen up, you'd go to Japan, because they would actually,
I believe it.
business. Yeah.
Yeah. No bars hold. Yeah, I went to a bar in Japan called, I think it was called Metal Justice, and it was like they loved Metallica and wrestling.
Cool.
Yeah.
A lot of bands, they do like metal in Japan, right? Because like
Yeah.
so many bands that are like metal bands, kind of old washed up metal bands. I know that they have like Mr. Big as an example. They had that one hit here, To Be With You, and it wasn't even a metal song. It was like a little singy songy type ballad. They're huge, I guess, in Japan. And bands like Kiss broke huge in Japan before they were ever anything, and they weren't even selling records in the States. Cheap Trick is another one, Live at Budokan. Like all these, metal is a huge thing in Japan. I wonder how, and Ozzy must be gigantic in Japan, I would think.
Yeah, I wonder. Now we'll have to, haven't checked in with the the Japanese connections.
Yeah, I bet she's massive there, I would have to think.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Wow. But okay, well, we have a few minutes left. Anything else you want to share about like the collaborators, the people that were there, notable characters that we should, say thank you and I see you?
Well, I mean, the ones I mentioned, really, like, we should say I see you, like Bob Daisley. Oh my God, that guy got treated so horribly by them. He wasn't invited to the Jakey Lee. At least it was cool to see, because Ozzy had
he came on,
Jakey Lee out, but he came. He was there.
He was at the back.
Tom Morello gave him the "We're Not Worthy" bow and all that. Like, really cool. But yeah, Bob Daisley wasn't invited, which is weird. Well, not weird, because I don't think the Osbournes don't want any connection with him. Some of the musicians he's had passing through. Rudy Sarzo was a bass player who played with Ozzy at one point, and he was there. Tommy Aldridge. I might be getting into drum nerdy stuff here, but Tommy Aldridge is this incredible, amazing drummer that played with Ozzy for a good portion of his career. And I don't think they broke up in a harsh way or anything like that, but he wasn't there. Like, it would have been for old metal fans, it would have been amazing to see him on stage there ripping it up. Like, that guy's an incredible drummer.
Because they did have some good like drum offs and stuff. They had a whole segment for the drums, and
they did it to, wasn't it to the riff for Symptom of the Universe, or was it for Children of the Grave?
I don't know. No, I think Lamb of God did Children of the Grave.
Did they?
Was it?
Okay,
I don't know. Hang on. I have a cheat sheet. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Symptom of the Universe.
Yeah. So they played that riff, and then who was it? It was Travis Barker from Blink.
Yeah.
The guy from Tool, whose name is
Dana. Dana Carey. Like
drummer.
Dana Carey. The brains of it. Yeah. All.
Yeah, and then was it the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Chad Smith, right?
Yeah. Nice.
Killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all played differently.
You mean Will Ferrell? Sorry.
Sorry?
You mean Will Ferrell?
Yeah, Will Ferrell. Yeah. Was it Will Ferrell? They all have a different style too, so it was very cool to watch them do it,
Oh, but hang on, there was someone else there, and it doesn't say on this.
Like a fourth drummer?
Yeah, I thought there was 4 drummers.
Oh, I only
Anyway,
have 3. But it would have been cool to see Tommy Aldridge do that. Oh my God.
yeah. Anyways, yeah. But they did do some little, a little drum off, which was nice.
It was super cool.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. There's so many things when I was there. Like, I printed off this set list and I'm like, oh yeah.
I'd rather ask you stuff for we're probably running out of time now, but I'd like to hear everything that you had to say about the stuff you saw. Like what popped out for you the most out of some of the stuff?
I mean, you know what was cool? It was like to hear how many of the singers really could belt out their Ozzy.
Yeah.
Like that was cool. And there's probably some other, frontmen, women, that I think could have done well there.
Well, I'm not a big fan, but didn't Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm? Wasn't she like one of the people that stole the show? Like just incredible.
Well, she had very sparkly shorts on.
Yeah.
And she looked great. No, she, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I have a little, soft spot for Lizzie Hale.
Yeah.
Hailstorm, but yeah, they opened. I think she was the only female. Actually,
really?
Which was kind of a point of debate, or not debate, but just like a notice.
Yeah, they should have had more, I think,
Yeah, there weren't many like women. Oh yeah, I mean, I wrote some notes here. I mean, I don't know how much I could get into, but
did New Pantera play?
Yeah, Pantera played. New Pantera, well,
set, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And with Zakk Wylde, he was joining them too, playing with them now. So that's awesome.
A lot of people are angry that Pantera is still going on without the Abbott brothers, and I can see that. But I think that with Zakk Wylde there, and is it the guy from Anthrax that's doing the drums? Name escaping me, shame on me. But anyways, like I don't know. I would still jump at seeing Pantera in a heartbeat.
Oh my God! And they played Planet Caravan, so
awesome.
That was a highlight.
Guns N' Roses played such weird tunes. Like they played like off the most disliked album, and they played these weird tunes off of it. I gotta go back and hear that, because I don't know if was it good, was it not good? Like,
where were they? Okay, so I have to admit that I didn't specifically take any highlighted notes for that.
That's fine.
Other than I thought like, wow, Axl sounds so good right now. And then I listened back to like a bit of a track later, and I was like, oh no, I think I was like, I had a couple moment. Black Sabbath-y brewskis. And everything sounded good and exciting at that time. No, I'm not gonna I mean, like, gotta pay respect where it's
People
obviously
said his voice is hurting now,
Yeah, I know, but you know what, in that moment he sounded great, and I really enjoyed Guns N' Roses.
Cool. I just think it's cool. And I actually tip my hat to them that they played some such weird tunes that nobody would ask.
They did they did Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Oh, they did it.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I heard it. Actually heard it. Yeah, he does. He doesn't sing it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ozzy stopped doing Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, I think, in the early 2000s or around the 90s, late 90s, because he couldn't sing it anymore. Like, that is a hard song to hit,
Yeah. Okay, Heath, we got to go.
Okay.
We got to run.
You got to do a part 3. No, I'm kidding.
Part 3. Yeah, part 3. No, we'll just keep this train rolling here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Heath McCoy, badass dude, and and listen to The Language of Healing, I guess, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Wow, what a show today. And the journey does not stop here. Come travel the world with Nicole every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, as together we become more fluent in the language of healing on W4WN Radio and Talk4 TV. See you next week.